You are listening to the Coins, Currency, and American History podcast, presented by Littleton Coin Company.
Every great civilization leaves behind its ruins, its art, and its heroes. But the story of America can be told through something smaller, something we can hold in our hands. A coin. Coins are the fingerprints of a nation. This is the story of the United States of America. From colonies to social experiment to global economic leader.
Episode 29. World War II, Bretton Woods, and a New World Currency. After surprise military attacks by Imperial Japan on U.S. bases, the United States entered World War II in December of 1941. Across Europe and Asia, air and ground combat were ravaging farms and factories. Consumer goods were rationed. Heating fuel was hard to come by. To prevent food shortages, citizens grew their own fruits and vegetables. War production now defined the global economy. U.S. mints joined the war effort. They switched to silver and steel so copper and nickel could be deployed in ammunition. The Bureau of Engraving and Printing issued special emergency currency notes to stop the enemy from using captured American money. These weren't the only monetary changes the war would bring. It would also usher in a new world reserve currency. The unchecked ambitions of Imperial Japan, Nazi Germany, and Fascist Italy triggered World War II. They cemented their alliance with the Tripartite Pact of 1940. It created the Axis powers, which pledged to come to each other's defense if attacked. By 1940, each aggressor nation was asserting more and more geopolitical dominance. Japan invaded China twice. It captured Manchuria, a resource-rich region. In 1937, it launched what turned into an 8-year war to control China's seacoast and river valleys. On December 7, 1941, Japanese bombers hit U.S. naval bases in the Pacific Ocean. Within 10 hours, the Hawaiian island of Oahu, plus 4 Philippine islands, sustained deadly strikes. On the continent of Africa, Italy sought to rebuild its ancient Roman Empire. It expanded beyond its control of Libya, taken during the First World War. In 1935, it invaded Ethiopia. In 1940, it crossed the borders of British Somaliland, Egypt, and parts of Kenya and Sudan. Italy also annexed Albania. It occupied Yugoslavia, Greece, and a part of southeastern France. In 1941, Italy joined Germany and invaded the Soviet Union. Germany annexed Austria and part of Czechoslovakia. 3 years later, Germany invaded Poland on September 1, 1939. To honor their World War I agreement of mutual military assistance with Poland, France and Great Britain entered the fight. But France soon fell to the Nazis, as did neighboring Belgium and the Netherlands. Britain's mounting loss of merchant and warships threatened its citizens with starvation and Nazi occupation. A desperate Prime Minister, Winston Churchill, turned to America for help. Churchill framed his request as giving the United States time to mobilize its considerable and untapped industrial and military power. Give us the tools, and we'll finish the job. Then came 5 days in December of 1941 that changed the course of history. On December 7th, Imperial Japan launched its deadly raids on U.S. naval bases. Congress responded by declaring war on Japan. Honoring their tripartite pact with Japan, Germany and Italy then declared war on the United States. Congress swiftly reciprocated by declaring war on the European Axis powers on the afternoon of December 11th. It was now official. The United States had entered the global war. On January 26, 1942, 4,000 U.S. combat troops landed in Europe. In November, another contingent headed to North Africa. To support the war effort on the U.S. home front, the federal government rationed sugar, meat, gasoline, tires, and paper. It also encouraged citizens to plant their own fruits and vegetables by naming the patriotic effort Victory Gardens. War production accelerated. Military planes, tanks, jeeps, warships, and submarines rolled off assembly lines. So did munitions. But the United States faced an acute metal shortage. Copper and nickel were especially prized for their resistance to corrosion, to heat, and to friction. So in 1942, Congress passed a bill authorizing the U.S. Mint to explore alternative metals for American coinage. The Mint responded in several ways. Number 1. Through 1949, it officially suspended issuing annual proof sets. Number 2. In order to maintain the legal weight of the 5-cent piece, from 1942 through 1945, the Mint replaced nickel with silver. 3. In 1943, the Mint struck pennies in steel. That year, it saved enough copper for the U.S. to manufacture 1.25 million artillery shells. Number 4. From 1944 through 1946, the Mint issued pennies in recycled brass shell casings. In the 21st century, these wartime cents and nickels are highly sought by coin collectors. America's paper money also changed in reaction to the Pacific bombings and pending U.S. invasion of North Africa. The Bureau of Engraving and Printing issued special emergency currency notes. If these uniquely printed silver certificates fell into enemy hands, they could not be redeemed. For the territory of Hawaii, the front of bills and denominations of $1, $5, $10, and $20 featured a U.S. Treasury seal in brown ink, not the usual blue or green. On the back, Hawaii was overprinted in bold black letters. Operation Torch was the U.S.-led ground campaign for North Africa. It was supported by notes in denominations of $1, $5, and $10 were stamped with a bright yellow Treasury seal instead of the traditional blue or green. These distinct markings meant they could not be monetized if captured by enemy forces. Like the U.S. wartime coins, these emergency banknotes from World War II are prized by collectors. Picture it: a Gilded Age hotel nestled at the base of Mount Washington, the tallest summit in New England. Visitors relax on its long veranda. They sip a beverage of choice and follow puffs of steam from a coal-fire engine as it pushes the unique mountain climbing train up the steep incline. But the war's metal shortages closed the railway. Travel restrictions all but shuttered the luxury resort in Bretton Woods, New Hampshire, with one notable exception. The U.S. Treasury Secretary asked hotel management to host an international monetary conference. He scheduled it to start July 1st, 1944. He picked the northern New England resort for several reasons. The refreshing location was far away from the summer heat and crowds of the nation's capital, Washington, D.C. Situated on nearly 1,000 acres and surrounded by the rugged White Mountains National Forest, the remote site offered foreign guests privacy and security. In attendance were U.S. allies. The worldwide economic collapse of the 1930s was still on their minds. For foreign countries whose coinage and gold reserves had been confiscated by the Axis powers, the Philadelphia and San Francisco mints were working overtime to help these American allies by striking replacement coins. 730 delegates from 44 nations spent 3 weeks hammering out details for a new international monetary system. Envoys at the Bretton Woods Conference wanted nothing less than a stable fiscal standard. They sought a guarantee that countries and corporations devastated by this new world war could be rebuilt. To achieve that, they turned to gold. The United States and its 43 allies agreed to a financial system pegged to the U.S. dollar. The dollar, in turn, could be converted into gold, which they set at $35 an ounce. This rule made the value of currencies from all 44 participating nations stable and predictable, the two most important factors for rebuilding a world economy. To ensure the system would work, the Bretton Woods Agreement created 2 intergovernmental institutions to be headquartered in Washington, D.C. One was the International Monetary Fund. It monitors global exchange rates and provides technical assistance, plus reserve currencies to member nations facing balance of payment deficits. The other institution was the World Bank. It focuses on long-term economic growth in developing nations. Loans, grants, or credits are funded from global financial markets and participation of member nations. The agreement was signed on the last day of the conference, July 22, 1944. After ratification by 29 participating countries, the agreement went into full effect on December 27, 1945, less than 4 months after the official end of World War II. The formal end of the Worldwide War on September 2, 1945, closed this 4-year apocalyptic chapter in history. At the same time, the end launched the start of the international reconstruction on a scale never before seen. Returning U.S. veterans were honored with victory medals and honorable service lapel buttons struck at the main mint in Philadelphia. The post-war boom envisioned by the Bretton Woods Agreement gave middle-class Americans disposable income to pursue hobbies, particularly in numismatics. The Bureau of Engraving and Printing removed from circulation its emergency banknotes, and the return of copper and nickel to U.S. coinage meant one thing. As soon as Philadelphia was caught up striking combat medals, it could resume its annual release of pristine-proof sets. In the next episode of Coins, Currency, and American History, twin economic forces reshaped the American landscape following World War II. Unprecedented economic growth is fueled by corporate expansion, consumer spending, and massive government intervention. The American dream is transformed into a commodity anchored in home ownership, car culture, and suburban living. Next time, the post-war boom and suburban capitalism. We hope you've enjoyed this episode of the Coins, Currency, and American History podcast presented by Littleton Coin Company. You can find out more about coins and currency in our free Learn Center at www.littletoncoin.com/learn. It's filled with fascinating facts about U.S. coins, world coins, ancient coins, paper money, and more, as well as helpful tips for collectors of all levels. You'll even find free collector guides, checklists, and virtual albums to help you get started and keep track of your growing collection. And while you're there, be sure to check out our online store. Visit www.littletoncoin.com today.